Hello, welcome to HIKEBACK, a short visual novel developed by Clown, available on itch.io. And apparently, you're driving down the road late at night one day, and you see a hitchhiker, and your actions from there will determine your fate. I guess we'll see what that means. I guess a little warning, this is a horror game, so there may be some disturbing elements and possibly some graphic violence. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's go. Okay, let me tell you a story. That is what you do in a visual novel. You're telling a story. It was late that night. I was driving through some backwoods to visit a friend. Then, I spotted something on the side of the road. That's when I first saw you. Sticking your thumb out, looking for a lift. So I decided to stop and help you out. The night was so dark that I could barely see your face, but I managed to catch a glimpse of you through my faded headlights. Your front was smeared with dirt and grime, and your hair stuck out in every direction. You asked me for a ride to the next town over, and I said yes. I watched you climb into the back seat. We rode together in silence for miles. There's no radio signal out here, so music wasn't much of an option. No tape cassettes, depends on how old, the setting is. I could barely hear you breathing. Sometimes I forget you were there at all. I mean, I guess I could use CDs. No CDs as well. Do people use CDs anymore either? I don't know. I could feel myself starting to nod off. The dust in the headlights swam in lazy streams. And just as I started to drift away, something pierced through my stomach. Nani? Your arms were around my waist from behind the seat, your fingers clutching a bloody scalpel. My throat closed up. My mind went blank. My senses screaming. I lost control of the wheel. My head was pounding. Needles pricked across my skin, cut with shattered bone and shrapnel. Every breath I took was harder than the last. There was no one else in these woods. There was no one around to help. I was going to die here. Next to me, I could see you coughing up blood. Your arms were embedded with broken glass. I asked you why you did it. There's no point after all. Now we're both going to die with no one around to find our bodies. You gave me a wry smile as my vision faded to black. You spoke, with a voice like gravel and serrated teeth. You told me that you couldn't help it. It was in your nature. And thus we die. Game over. Ending 1, nature. Alright. I was just wondering how did they stab us through the back seat? Isn't the seats usually pretty thick? Using just a scalpel, unless maybe they just kind of snaked their arms around the seat, I guess is how they did it. I don't know. Weird would do. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, I guess that's one ending, and of course that's the only ending we can get. Seems like the clock is moving. However, it's at the 1 o'clock position. I guess. I wonder what that represents. But I mean, let's start again. Let me tell you a story. My name's not important. Never liked it much anyway. I was driving that night to visit a friend on the other side of the mountains. I'd never met them in person before, but they needed my help. That was all that mattered. This place really was out in the middle of nowhere, though. No sign of civilization to be seen. I was messing around the radio when I saw you. A scrawny thing in dirty clothes, sticking your thumb out. So no choice here. Well, there's no save system, but I guess we'll see. I don't know if it matters. Let's see, I decided to stop. Yep. What the hell, you know? I felt bad for you. Maybe you really needed the help. I don't think I could have lived with myself if I abandoned someone in a bad spot. So I flashed my headlights and pulled over beside you. As soon as I got out of the car, I could tell I made the right call. Alright, so we get a better, idea of who this person is. I'm gonna be honest, I just noticed the big nose. I don't know, I guess it's just the art style, but like, I don't know. When you try to like combine like a anime-ish kind of art style, but like with a big nose, it just kind of like doesn't work. You know, in my opinion, it approaches uncanny valley a little bit, which makes it look a little bit weird to me anyway. But I guess it depends if you're used to, looking at anime where everybody has like tiny like noses or no noses at all. But anyway, you look like shit. The knees of your pants were all scuffed and your whole body was smudged with dirt. You need a shower. You needed help badly. Okay, me. Hey, you alright? Where are you headed? You look at me with a blank stare, as if I was saying nothing but meaningless noise. I sighed and took a step forward. You eyed me warningly. Look, you need a ride, right? If I'm taking you somewhere, then can you at least give me a direction? You seemed to consider this for a while. You ran your fingernails up and down your arms, as if you were scratching at something. After a bit, you finally looked at me in the eyes. You. Oh, okay, that's strange. Alright. To me, and also you. So it's like, it feels like a second person narrative, but like technically we're making choices from the protagonist. It's kind of weird. Anyway. But you is, what did they say their voice sounded like? Like gravelly or whatever? So, is there a town nearby? I could tell just by listening to you that you desperately needed a drink. Unfortunately, I didn't think the half-empty soda sitting in my cup holder would cut it. Nearby, not for a while yet. But there should be a gas station in the next exit. But a 20-minute drive or so. You chewed your lip in silence. Do you want me to take you there? You nodded, slowly. Please. So I stepped back towards the car and opened the door to the... Okay, interesting. Well, if you open it to the backseat again, isn't that the same ending, I wonder? We can choose to put them in the passenger side instead. But I'm curious though, what happens if we just repeat our actions? Do we just get the same, completely the same ending? I'm curious about that. Also, I opened the door to the back seat. Better safe than sorry. Well, you stared at me for only a moment before climbing inside. Hey. What? Seatbelt? And no response. I turned around my seat and pointed at the belt buckle. Put it on. I'm not moving this car until you do. You blinked at me slowly, before pulling on the seatbelt. You examined it like it was a foreign object, as you crossed it over your waist and hooked it into the buckle. With a sigh, I turned back towards the wheel and started up the engine. The radio still wasn't working. It was really starting to piss me off. I guess there wasn't much signal that far out. And all the while, you hardly made a sound. It was like you weren't even there. We drove for miles. Endless stretches of the same road. The same trees. The same dark expanse. For all we knew, we could have been driving in place. Things started to get blurry. My eyelids were heavy from the weight of all the hours on the road. I didn't want to risk falling asleep at the wheel, so I went ahead and downed the last of my energy drink. It was long since flat. The sugar and gunk and artificial flavors all stuck to my teeth. Ugh, gross. Still nothing from the back seat. I adjusted my rear view so I could get a look at what you were up to. I could barely see a thing. My throat closed up. What had I been thinking, letting you into my car? I had no idea who you were, what you wanted, or what you were capable of. For all I knew, you could be hiding my body in a highway ditch somewhere by the morning. You were just a... that was weird. You were just a total stranger. How far were we to somewhere safe? If something happened, would anyone come to help? And as these thoughts swore my head, I heard you moving around in the back seat. My chest felt tight as panic surged inside of me. I swore that I could feel your breath on my neck. Were you about to kill me? I had to do something. Now. So we can speak up or we can hit the brakes. Maybe we're just a little paranoid, that's all. Don't worry about it. We just like, hey, what are you doing? My mouth suddenly felt very dry. With a deep breath, I spoke. What do you think you're doing? And almost as soon as the words left my mouth, your arms wrapped around my chest from behind, and something cold and sharp pressed against my neck. Okay. Well, is that that's us? Or, you know, this, from you know, this person's perspective. A bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, a little bit. Big nose, you know, as usual. And a cross, I guess? Are we some kind of priest, maybe? Or do we just wear that, you know, just for fashion? Anyway, yeah, your arms wrapped around my chest from behind, and something cold and sharp pressed against my neck. I am merely taking precautionary measures. I gripped the steering wheel like it was my last chance. Blood roared in my head. One flinch, one speed bump, that's all it would take for this stranger to slit my throat. As I swallowed, my skin sank a bit deeper into the blade. How so? Simple. You could stop this car and kill me at any time, or drop me out somewhere to rot in captivity. If you so wished, you could even crash this car and watch me burn, safe behind an airbag. Now didn't seem like the best time to mention that I took the airbags out of this thing years ago. But this way, you cannot kill me without killing yourself, and in turn, I cannot kill you without killing myself either. Thus we are even. Does that make sense? He waited for an answer. This doesn't make any sense at all, you know, that's what I would say. I couldn't help it. My temper flared. Like hell that makes sense. The fuck are you even talking about? Why would I do something like that right after stopping to help you out? Not to mention risk getting killed myself? I was just trying to show you a bit of kindness, that's all. I took a second to catch my breath. I wasn't even sure where all that came from. You were waiting patiently for me to finish. After a few moments, he spoke again. Kindness, you say? Yeah, heard of it? You ever consider that maybe, just maybe, all I wanted was to be nice? I felt a lot of good that did me. Now you threatened to kill me for it. I felt your fingers wrap against my shoulder in a steady rhythm. It took a while to respond this time. We are strangers, are we not? Strangers who have absolutely no reason to trust each other. Such is why you led me to the sea rather than the one beside you. You did not trust me enough to be close to you. It was a wise decision. I would have done the same. And yet, despite being total strangers, you offered me to drive me out of the forest. Now, why might that be? You had no way of knowing that I possessed the blade, no indication that I could possibly be a threat to you. For all that you could tell, I was completely and utterly defenseless. And even now, I cannot hope to kill you without killing myself as well. You leaned forward, your lips ghosted right against my ear. From the very beginning, I've been at your mercy. Now, is this what you would call kindness? This is just gaslighting. You're gaslighting me now. You know, it's like you're just assuming things. I couldn't bring myself to speak. You clicked your tongue. Well then, if so, then you're just as bad as I am, aren't you? Ending 3. Kinship. Alright, I don't know what happened in the end there. Did they Slice our throat? I'm assuming so? I don't know. Well, I guess another ending, another, progress on the clock, I guess. Maybe there's like 12 endings in total or something? Possibly. Well, let's go again. So if you haven't figured it out by now, it's a total time loop. So you're going to have to do things over and over and over again. One more time. Let me tell you a story. Name's not important. Okay, well, here's the downside, is that there might be some repetitive dialogue. Is there like there's no skip option, I don't think. Yeah, I press... what? Okay, that was weird. Oh, there you go. Okay, that was weird. When I pressed control, there was an error. But I don't know, I hope that didn't break anything. Because usually control is skip, Alright, so back to this decision. How about we just don't pick up this hitchhiker? They always seem like trouble. They always just keep killing us. How about we just keep going, How about we just do that, actually? Alright, so we saw a hitchhiker, but... so I kept right on driving. Like hell was I falling for that. A stranger out here in the middle of the bumfuck nowhere asking for a lift? Are you kidding? Call me superstitious, but that sounded like the beginning of a ghost story. And I sure I sure as hell wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. I still felt your eyes on me as I sped past you, all the way down the road. I never saw you again. Hooray, we did it. Ending 5. Common sense. It's called common sense to not pick up a random stranger in the middle of the woods. If you're gonna take the risk anyway, or you feel bad, maybe you should just call the cops or something. I don't know. You just never learn, do you? Well, I don't think we can escape the loop like that, however, because that just brings us back to the beginning. Well, try again. Alright. So we're back over here. So this is when the hitchhiker's in the backseat, and we are paranoid about them doing something, right? So we kind of know what they're going to do. So why don't we hit the brakes this time? I couldn't take it anymore. I need you out of my car, now. Without hesitation or warning, I veered off towards the side of the road and hit the brakes. Except, I didn't catch the tree in time. Oh, that was a bad idea, as it turns out. My legs weren't moving. My arms weren't either. My body didn't do anything that my body didn't do anything that I told it to do. Like in a dream or a nightmare. My head was pounding. All I could do was breathe, and that was getting harder by the second. It hurt. Eventually the pain all blended together like white noise. Dull. Comforting. Needles pricked across my skin, cut with shattered bone and shrapnel. There's no one else in these woods. There's no one around to help. I was going to die here. I managed to turn my head to the side just enough to see you lying in a crumpled heap. You were face down, blood pooling out from under your head. You weren't moving. This was the end for both of us. So I closed my eyes. You were gonna kill me anyway. I just knew it somehow. A random stranger out in the middle of nowhere, all filthy, acting weird and asking for a ride? Of course he had to be a killer. Or some kind of bad person at least. Anyone else would have done the same. This was the only way things could have ended. I did what I had to do in self-defense. Yeah, that was it. Self-defense. My breath shook. I did what I had to do. Right? Ending 2. Self-defense. Great. Backseat. Speak up. Alright. So we're back over here in this hostage situation. The killer, or, well, potential killer, is saying how, we don't trust each other, so therefore this totally makes sense, right? Therefore, you can't kill me, and I can't kill you, right? Is the idea. Otherwise, it's mutually assured destruction. And from a certain point of view, I guess that makes sense. You have a point. I racked my brain for any good answers and came up empty. I couldn't really argue with that now, could I? I sighed, trying not to think about how close I was to dying at any moment as I drove. I admit it, you do have a point there, but what happens when we make it to the gas station? You know, what's keeping you from killing me as soon as I stop the car? You huffed. I have no reason to. All I need is a ride. Sure, I guess. Why would I believe that? You already threatened to kill me and all. You would just have to trust me. Trust you, huh? Well, we're strangers, yeah? For some reason you snorted, as if I said something funny. That's correct. I don't know a thing about you. Trusting you is a pretty big ask. So, can I really afford to do that? If I stop this car, I'd be throwing away the only leverage I have against you right now. Then, by that same logic, if I take away this blade, I will be making the same foolish mistake. We sat there in silence. I guess we're at a standstill then, aren't we? Your fingernails dug into my shoulder, the scalpel nicking at my skin. I suppose we are. Standstill. Okay. Ending 6? Is that 6? Is that a 6 or 4? I always mix up my Roman numerals. I think that's a 6. The passenger side. So I opened the door to the passenger side. You seem harmless enough and there's no point in being rude. You didn't move. Everything okay? Still nothing. I figured you were just nervous. I didn't blame you. This was a pretty weird situation. Then I noticed you were mumbling something under your breath. Not the... Hey, no worries if it's too much, okay? If you want, I can always... No. I refused it so quick I had to take a second to even register it. You sure? Must have struck a nerve. Without another word, you brushed past me and slid inside. I tried to give your shoulder a reassuring pat as you got in, as reassuring as I could, manage anyway. You almost hit your head on the roof when my hand made contact. Hey. What? Seatbelt. And no response. I glanced over my shoulder and pointed at the belt buckle. Put it on. I'm not moving this car until you do. You roll your eyes as you tug on the seatbelt, as if we had this conversation before. Beside, I turned back towards the wheel and started up the engine. The radio still wasn't working. It was really starting to piss me off. I guess there wasn't much signal that far out. And all the while, you hardly made a sound. It was like you weren't even there. But you were. I checked. Quiet as a corpse, with your cheek pressed against the window. We drove for miles, endless stretches of the same road, the same trees, the same dark expanse. For all we knew, it could have been driving in place. Things started getting blurry. My eyelids were heavy from the weight of all the hours on the road. I didn't want to risk falling asleep on the wheel, but... Huh? The can was completely empty. Weird. I was so sure that I still had some left. Why didn't I drink it? Had I forgotten somehow? I tried to shake the weird sense of deja vu from my head and kept my eyes on the road. I caught you staring at me out of the corner of my eye, but as soon as I noticed, you turned back towards the window. I need something more substantial to keep me awake. Music would have been fine, but the radio still refused to cooperate. What to do? Oh, right. As I heard you shuffling around in your seat, I realized that some friendly conversation could definitely keep me up. I hardly knew anything about you after all. You were just a total stranger. No harm in breaking the ice, right? So I glanced over towards you and spoke. Hey, so what do you... I managed to see your scalpel seconds before it went straight through my eye. Next thing I knew, we were both crashing through the windshield. Well, that didn't work. A tree. Or was it a boulder, maybe? I couldn't tell. As soon as my vision went red, The wheel slipped out of my fingers and we crashed straight into something. My head was pounding. The muck that was left on my eye leaked down my chin. Only thing that kept me from passing out was the pain. Needles pricked across my skin, cut with shattered bone and shrapnel. Every breath I took was harder than the last. There's no one else in these woods. There's no one around to help. I was going to die here. Next to me, I heard you yelp in pain. Through the blood, I saw your leg twisted in ways it never should be. This was the end for both of us. But instead of screaming, crying, begging for my life, all I could feel was anger. My mouth started moving before my thoughts could. What the fuck is wrong with you? Every word tastes like iron. Because of this. Because of you. Now we're both dead. Even with my sight melting away, I felt your eyes boring into me. Is this what you wanted? Your head lolled to the side as you choked and gasped, wiping your mouth on your arm. The veins of your neck bulged. I could see them clearly now. I want to wrap my hands around your throat and squeeze more than I've wanted anything else in my entire life. No. Then why? I pounced on your response like a rabid animal. I had to know. I deserved to. I heard your nails scrape across the gravel, hair curtaining your face. Who? What? You cleared your throat and tried again. Your voice was thick with blood. Whose fault is this? Answer me. Whose fault? Who is to blame for this ending? The one to blame is... I could choose. I mean, you're the one that stabbed me in the eye, so you? You, obviously. You stabbed me in the fucking eye, you know? It's just... What possible... I got too heated. I had to take a second to wheeze, feeling my lungs sting. What possible reason could you have had? None. I stopped in my tracks. Mouth hung open like a dead fish. What? There was no reason. No reason at all. Because it was not a reasonable thing to do. Somehow I felt like you were speaking much clearer all of a sudden. And I saw a movement in your direction. Were you standing up? I did it because I am a bad person. That's all there is to it. I couldn't keep the eye I had left open any longer, even as my mind raced. I felt someone, you, right next to me, a creeping heat that sent goosebumps running up my neck. Because, for people like me, I heard the smile in your voice. It's in my nature. Ending one, again? Okay. Well, that kind of just ends, it just leaves the same ending that we got in the very beginning. There you go. You just never learn, do you? Alright, so we're back here. So this is when we kind of crash with the hitchhiker in the passenger seat. And then, you know, they stabbed her eye, I guess. And they asked, you know, who's to blame? Well, we kind of like blamed them the first time. Let's blame ourselves, you know? You know, it's kind of like, I don't know. Kind of like unreasonable to just blame ourselves for everything, but sure, why not? Blame myself. Clarity struck me then, almost as quickly as the anger had. As ridiculous as it sounded, as much as I barely believed in myself. Me. Pardon? You sounded just as surprised as I felt. But the longer I thought about it, the more it made sense. If I hadn't stopped, if I hadn't picked you up, or even given you a lift, then this wouldn't have happened. Something squeezed down on my chest. I couldn't tell it was from the impact or something else. How do you figure? Somehow, felt like you were speaking much clearer all of a sudden. But I didn't dwell on it for too long. I should have known better. Don't trust strangers and all that, right? I wanted to laugh, but it hurt too much to even try. So I should have known better. Someone like you. How else could it have ended? All that frustration, All that blind anger and desperation and bitterness that I had felt. All I could feel now was regret. Regret that it had to end this way. I didn't realize how much time had passed until you spoke again. It's not your fault. What? I craned my neck as best as I could to catch a glimpse of you out of the eye I had left. It looked like movement from where you'd been, like you were standing up or something. But that was impossible, right? You couldn't help it. You spoke so softly, as if you were trying to comfort me. Something pressed against my hair, something warm. Like someone was petting my head. You sighed. You just couldn't help it. Because it's in your nature. Ending 4, bitterness. It's in your nature, it's in my nature, it's everybody's nature, I guess. Have you ever heard of nurture? You know, nature versus nurture? Anyway. Alright, so that's a couple endings so far. Well, not a couple, rather. Several. Yeah. Alright, I mean, I felt like we did a lot of things. I felt like we picked all the choices, though. I mean, we can start again and see what happens. Roll back. Again. 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 As many times as it takes. No matter how long. No matter how far. No matter how much I had to suffer. No matter how many times I rolled back. Because I needed to keep going. What's it? There's a button here. I don't want to press it yet. I don't know what it means. What it does. But anyway. Because I need to keep running. Because I need to escape this endless cycle. There. First oak, second bend on the left. So the only way from here was... run. Forward. My shoes were thinning at this point. The soles couldn't take much more of the same rocks, the same twigs, the same scattered debris. Just another one of the things I had to let stick around each time, as obnoxious as it was. If I wasted my energy rolling back every single little detail, I'd be dead by now. It just wasn't worth it. So I settled for letting a few things slip through the cracks. I didn't have much stamina left as it was. Exhaustion waited at my every step, leaving me lagging behind. Already 2.5 seconds slower to this landmark. I was running out of time. Third bend, second stump. Only one option. Run. So I kept running. As long as I kept moving, as long as I kept running, I'd make it eventually, right? Even if all I was doing was running in place. My lungs burned. I couldn't outrun her forever. I knew that much. I'm not stupid. But I didn't have much of a choice anymore. If I got too far for her liking, she'd pull on the reins and drag me all the way back, kicking and screaming. Her. Not this time. This time I'd make it. Whenever this time would actually be. My muscles screamed, my breath sharp, stinging. I bit down my arm. It kept me going, distracted from the ache. Pain's like an itch that way. If you ignored it, it would only get worse. Scratch it, and you get relief, if only for a little while. Next bend. 8th stump. Run. And that was it. Keep running. Keep running. Keep surviving. Made it across the road and... No. Not again. Not again, shit. How could I have been so stupid? The road. I had to wait for the car on the road. I could almost hear his voice then. Muffled, distant, as he stumbled out of his car towards what was left of my body. But with the blood clogging up my ears, his words were lost on me. I felt his hands grip my shoulders, trying to shake me awake. Not that it mattered what he said anyway. There's no chance I settled for this ending. Even if my body was broken and bleeding, I could just roll back. Everything would settle into place again. Like it never happened at all. So I willed myself to roll back. Why wasn't it working? Was I doing something wrong? All I needed to do was roll back, all the way into that choice I made, the one that had got me killed again. And I could do it right this time. I could do better. So I willed myself to roll back. Why wasn't it working? Was I doing something wrong? All I needed was what I do? I could do it right this time. I could do better. So I willed myself to roll back. Nah, how about you don't though? How about like and thus the character here, who I'm not sure whose perspective this is, waited for an infinite amount of time, willing themselves to roll back, but I never do. I never press the button, and the game is over. No. Okay, fine. I guess, yeah, you're supposed to roll back, I guess. Roll back! Whoop. Keep going. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, further. Keep going. Oh. Wait a minute. You know, because I skipped it for so long. This is gonna take a while, actually. Oh, here you go. I watched the world retreat back through time, like a knot coming undone. And then he melted back into the safety of his car. Everything as it should be. Huh? What was that? That didn't happen last time, right? Just a hitch, maybe? And if I... Oh. I was back here. I definitely had been found. Not that quickly. This was a different type of hitch then. Punishment for rolling back too much, I suppose. Bargain too much with the past, eventually the past comes to collect. If I waited, I eventually end up where I was supposed to be. But that meant dealing with... her. Even in my own memories, the presence puts me on edge. I sat on the edge of my old cot and her on the folding chair across the room. And this was one of our sessions together, way back when. Again, number 8, I know you can do better this time. Training sessions, that is. My vision throbbed behind my skull, my nostrils thick with the stench of copper. My nose was bleeding again. I decided not to deviate from the script. I can't. It hurts. My voice was small, so fragile and useless. I sounded like a child, and I hated it. I wanted to tear that weakness right out of my throat. I know it hurts. But you need to try again, okay, number 8? Just one more time, and then you can rest as long as you like. Really? My blood boiled. Do you promise? I promise. Liar. Liar, liar, liar. Now one more time. Find out what's on the other side of this card. And then roll back and tell me what it is before I show it to you. Do you understand? My nails dug into my arms as she spoke. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Interesting. So the mechanics, that's interesting. So the first part of the game definitely was kind of like a loop in the sense that you start the game over and over again. But now we have the power of like to roll back, I guess, in the sense of like, you know, traveling back through time. It seems like. But also there's this like, that was like a weird hitch where like a, you know, some kind of like flashback sort of, but like it was like a real flashback as in like it was actually us traveling through time maybe. It's like, I don't know, where like someone is being experimented on, you know, possibly cultivating this time traveling power. I don't know. Anyway, you can run as usual. You can hide as well. Let's try hiding. The car will be passing by on the road any second now. If I ran, I get hit. So I caught myself on a nearby tree and crouched down to the brush. But I always came to the same inevitable conclusion. I can keep going like this. My legs hurt. My stomach groaned. My eyelids begged for rest. I knew how this worked. I'd seen the movies. I'd seen, you know, Endless 8 in Season 2, Suzume Haruhi no Yutsu, and many other, you know, time loop shows. The movies I was allowed to watch in any case. I crept towards the right side of the road and stuck my thumb out, just like I remembered. But in the movies, Someone always winds up dead by the end, right? I didn't know whether the choice I had. My scalpel hung heavy against my thigh, the one thing I'd been able to take with me, the one thing that kept me alive. There had to be a better ending to this. There had to be. I wasn't going to give up, no matter what it took. So he flashed his headlights, pulled over right alongside me. Interesting. Okay, I mean, it makes sense, but we're playing as the perspective as the hitchhiker. And it seems like one of the, from his perspective anyway, it seems like, it's confusing now because I don't know which, don't have names, but I guess driver and hitchhiker. So one of the endings with the driver just keeps driving, I guess, and ignores the hitchhiker. I think it's implied that the driver crashes anyway, right? They always crash. So I think that's the implication there. So if you try to like drive past them, or technically in the timeline when the driver does not notice the hitchhiker, they're always going to crash. So I think that's what happens. I think it's implied anyway, right? Because they drank the energy drink, and it's really hard time. They have a hard time like staying awake, right? So I think that's what happens. Anyway, as soon as he came out of the car, I knew something wasn't right. He was too quick about it, too eager. The door is shut just a little too loudly. I just knew. He must have remembered. He remembered, and he was angry. He was about to hurt me, kill me, and send me back and leave me to rot, and then he stepped forward. Close, too close. He was too close. Close enough to grab, close enough to choke, close enough to kill. Close enough to hold and squeeze and sigh and whisper and tell me how much he didn't really mean it. Close enough to stab, 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 and stab. My scalpel sank into his side. It gave so easily, like dough parting around my finger, but it wasn't enough. He pinned me to the ground. My scalpel was still stuck inside him, but this time, it hadn't been fatal. He twisted my arm behind my neck. Or my neck? No, my back rather. He twisted my arm behind my back. Farther, farther, farther. I heard something snap. I screamed into the dirt, tears biting the edges of my eyes as my arm went limp in his grasp. It hurts. It hurts. Make it stop. Make it stop. Please make it stop. Hissing through my teeth, I squeezed my eyes shut. I had to go back. I had to. I couldn't let it end like this. I knew it was scary. I knew it hurt to feel it break again. But I didn't have a choice. Not anymore. All it would take was a quick rewind. I had to go back. It's time to go back and not press the skip button, I guess that's why it's like there's no skip here. Because skipping, if you press control on the keyboard, that's the hotkey for skipping, but I guess the developer did not intend for you to use it because it breaks this part, I feel like. Anyway, I need to go back. Because if you skip it too much, like this part, then it kind of breaks the rollback feature. That's what I have learned the hard way. Okay. Alright. If I keep going, I can stop this before it happens. Just keep going, even if it hurts. Even if the pain feels absolutely unbearable. It took every ounce of me to stay focused as I lived through the pain all over again. Shit, just a little further and I'd be free. Now it pinned me to the ground and... Again. But why? Was I really running that low? She warned me once. Said that if I roll back too much, I'd tear myself apart, but... Part of me hoped that it was just another one of her lies. In that case, I knew I'd do whatever I could to find my better ending as quickly as possible. No matter the cost. I took a deep breath and waited for the memory to end. No, not this one. Anything but this one. I was trying to hide underneath my cot. There's no point. She saw everything. I hugged my knees to my chest as the door burst open. I heard her heels when she walked in. Two sets of boots followed her. Security guards. I tried to be quiet. I tried to be still. I tried to be invisible. But it didn't work, of course. I always wound up right back here, right back in this horrible limbo. A cycle that never ends. The guards pull me out from under the cot by my ankles and slam me against the wall, my arms pinned. I struggled, I squirmed, and bit and screamed and kicked. Nothing worked. She stood between them, her eyes boring into mine. I couldn't look away even if I tried. You know why you're in trouble, don't you, number 8? I bit my tongue to keep myself from answering on impulse. I think you do. I heard that you tried to run away again last night, number 8. The boys told me they're quite the troublemaker, that you injured 3 of them when they brought you back home. They said you even roped a civilian into your antics. Apparently, you convinced some poor old woman to hide you from us. This is all true, number 8. I tasted comfort again. It's your fault. Oh? You killed her. She's only trying to help and you killed her for it. Is that right? You're perfectly aware of what we're capable of, are you not? You know how much I care about you. You know how far we go to bring you back safely to us. Yet even so, knowing all of this, you still put that woman in harm's way. This woman you believe to be so innocent. Did you ever consider her safety, number 8? Or were you ever content to use her for your own selfish ends? Stop it. We didn't kill her, number 8. You did. Ah yes, more gaslighting? She cut my chin, her thumb stroking my cheek. You're not a good person, number 8. You never have been. You're a weapon, a tool, a killer, nothing more. Don't forget it. It's in your nature. The woman you met knew that. That's why you found chloroform in her coat pocket. I don't want to hear this anymore. I'm the only one who loves you for what you are, number 8. I didn't want to be here anymore. You know better now than to try and leave me again, don't you? No more, no more, no more. Don't you, number 8? What a big smile. No more. Breathe. I was out, back to before he left the car. But that was fine. I remember something. Something important. I remember what had felt so wrong last time. I focused, trying to collect my thoughts. Number 8. So that's why. Oh, I just remembered. Well, I guess we don't get like a picture, but I remember a screenshot of the Hitchhiker, right? And I remember there was a little 8 on their shirt, so that's why the number 8, I guess. You know. Anyway, well, that's not why, but rather, you know, they're marked as number 8 anyway. He was just you. You came out of the car right on schedule. But something was off. Okay. Yeah, we look more like a trucker than I thought. No. It's like a stereotypical trucker, I feel like. It reminds me of what's that show? I can't remember that show. It's like some kind of like random cartoon show. That it was like the main character, and then he had like a big truck, and then the truck turns into like a mech, I guess. I don't know. It was like really dumb. I didn't like it, but like, I don't know. Anyway, that smile of yours. Usually it was the first thing I saw, the last 2 sometimes. This time, it was nowhere to be found. As much as it put me on edge, seeing you without it somehow felt even worse. Okay. Hey, you alright? Where are you headed? Like clockwork, the same words, the same cadence, the same ending. What could I do to make things end differently this time? I was resisting not only what fate had in store for me, not only whatever your intentions were, but in the end, my very own nature. What do you do when you're the one stacking the odds against yourself? You step closer, but I expected this time. Not that it helps. My throat closes up when you approach, an involuntary response, survival instincts. The look, You need a ride, right? So round and round it goes. If I'm taking you somewhere, then can you at least give me a direction? Anywhere but here. But I knew I couldn't say that. I couldn't give too much away. I picked at the bite marks on my arm, forcing myself to breathe again. Deep breaths. Focus, do better this time. I met your gaze head on, and willed my voice to stay even, stable. Stick to the script. Is there a town nearby? And there was that smile. Almost as soon as the words left my mouth, your expression shifted. I could never get a read on you, no matter how many times I rolled back. Nearby? But not for a while yet, I don't think. I tapped my finger on the inside of my palm, trying to be patient. Next it was, but there should be a gas station at the next exit. About a 20-minute drive or so. I sank my teeth into my lip. Only minor deviances so far. Would it be enough? Do you want me to take you there? I instinctively wanted to save, but there's no save system. What if I say... What if I say no? I say no. I shook my head. Little things. Anything that could possibly make a difference. No offense, buddy, but you're the one that flagged me down in the first place, aren't you? I can't just leave you like this. At least let me get you set up at the motel or something. Figures. Not much tended to change before I got in the car unless I did something drastic. Why insist? How were you able to smile so freely like that? I never understand it. Lead the way then. With a small nod, you turned back towards the car. I watched you closely, making sure you opened the right door. Back seat. Good. My shoulders relaxed. Ever so slightly. Okay. Because every time we use the passenger seat, well, I mean, they always stab, confusing. The hitchhiker always stabs the driver in the eye whenever the passenger seat is chosen, so that's always what happens. Anyway. But yeah, back seat. I didn't like it when you were too friendly, too trusting, made me nervous. I already seen a lifetime's worth of you, but even so, I couldn't risk trusting you back. I had no idea who you really were after all. You coming? Moment of truth. My scalpel felt cold, pressing against my skin as I climbed inside. The smell wasn't any better this time around, like the bottom of an old ashtray. Hey, my brow furrowed. What? The seatbelt? Oh, right. For some reason, it slipped my mind every single time. Every single time. Like 100 times so far. I'm assuming. I don't know. As many time loops as there was, and they always forgets the seatbelt. Hard to think about road safety when I knew you could send this car hurtling to the next street at any moment. No seatbelt was going to help me there. Put it on. I'm not moving this car until you do. Whatever. I crossed it over my chest and tugged it into the buckle without another word. One time, back when I still wasn't sure what it was, I had asked you what seatbelts were for. You started asking me a whole lot of questions after that. Ones I didn't like too much. It didn't end well. That was about the time I realized that you couldn't know the truth, not even pieces of it. People didn't tend to take it too well when they found ticking time bombs in their cars. Okay. That's interesting. So yeah, it is implied that these time loops have been happening a whole bunch, even before we started even, playing the game. Eternity gnawed at the edges of my mind, a limbo of my own making. Miles passed behind us. The same road, the same trees, the same dark expanse. My nails dug into my arms. It was like torture, waiting to see what this loop would have in store for me. Would we crash? Another threat, maybe. Would you try to turn me into the police? What was it that I had to do to get the right ending this time? How long would it take until I was free? How many times would my nature get the better of me? What was I doing wrong? My eyes stung. You moved. You weren't supposed to do that. You only shifted in your seat like that when you were suspicious of me. I glanced up and the drink was gone. Not right at all. I left that hitch behind ages ago. More trouble than it was worth. So you're supposed to realize that it was empty when you picked it up to take a sip, and go back to driving. Like normal. But your cup holder was empty, and it wasn't right. Not right at all. Had you realized? Did I get something wrong? Did I make it too obvious? Did I left too many hitches behind? Do you remember everything? Okay. I don't know, it's kind of like an internal logic, you know, in this whole time thing, but like apparently you can leave hitches. Like if you roll back too many times, you leave a hitch, and that hitch is like a memory maybe is what I'm assuming. We were just playing along so you could get me back in your car and find the right moment to kill me. Or send me back to her. How much longer? How much longer until I died again? How much longer until they collared me and locked me away for good? How much longer until the windshield shattered into pieces across my chest? How much longer until... Hey. Oh god, you knew. My scalpel was in my hands already. I don't remember how it got there. So I've been meaning to ask, what's got you hitchhiking like this anyway? What are you looking to find in town? Were you taunting me? You had to know already. You had to. You waited for my answer. What was I looking for? A better ending. I'm looking for a better ending. I knew there was one still out there for me. I knew it. All I had to do was find it. Earn it. There's no way that everything I had been through was for nothing. A better ending? Ending to what? Everything. I thumbed the edge of my scalpel. I don't think I catch your meaning. You have no need to. It's none of your business. I heard you snort. It kinda is. You're in my car, you know. You're not planning on doing something dangerous, are you? The blade stung into my flesh. And if I was? I didn't wait for an answer. This path was already a lost cause. You must have figured it out already. But I wouldn't be so careless the next time. Before you realized what I truly was, before you lost control of the wheel, I drove my scalpel into the back of the seat and prepared myself to start again. Ending 8? Denial. Is this really the ending that I want? Well, guess not. Let's try again.